Hey guys, today we're going to talk about something that is often not talked about in competitive and defensive shooting. That's reloading. I'm Jimmy with Rhino Tactical, and you're going to learn something today. Okay folks, so welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about reloading, specifically in 40 caliber and 9mm. Now these are two 1050 machines made by Dillon. The reason they call them 1050s, back in the day in the 1990s, they used to cost $1,050. The price has gone up since then. Even though they still call the machine the 1050, it's about $1,500 per machine. So each of these machines carries a different bullet in it. Again, this is for 9mm and this is for 40 caliber. Now I'm going to talk to the different steps of how these machines actually work. And actually, before we get to the steps, let's discuss some of the custom features that are available through Dillon, but you have to buy aside from the machine. For example, this is a custom case feeder. It feeds the cases down this chute, and as soon as they get to this shutoff switch right here, it cuts it off, and then you can keep reloading more cases if you want. By the way, each of these cases is also tumbled, and it's polished before it goes into the machine. So every time you shoot, you collect all your brass, you polish it all up in a tumbler, and you insert it into these machines. Again, this one's 40, this one's 9mm. Back here we have what's called a Mr. Bullet feed. So those are loaded with bullets, the tops of the rounds, and they come through this chute down here all the way down, and they start stacking up here. Once they trip the switch right here, then it shuts off. So again, just like the case feeder, it does not overflow. So those are two of the custom things that you can get aside from just getting the stock machines at Dillon. Okay, now that we've talked about some of the custom things that you can get on each of these machines, let's talk about the steps towards manufacturing your own custom bullets. So again, the cases drop through this tube down here. Once they fill up, they shut off, and it takes you, once it indexes, takes you to the first stage. The first stage, all it does is remove the primer on the back. You can see this one's spent, and also it kind of resizes the bullet a little, the casing a little bit on top, resizes it. The second stage opens up the primer well down at the bottom, so it makes it able to receive a new primer. The third step right here, which is this long tube, will drop primers. Now these primers are all preloaded in here, down here. It takes about 100 of them, you preload them, and it'll drop one primer per bullet. Once that primer is inserted, it moves to the next phase, which is this one here. This cycle here, which is your fourth cycle. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Your fourth cycle drops the powder charge into the casing. Once the powder charge is dropped into the casing, it moves over to receive a bullet. The bullet right here, again, is fed through this spring all the way up until the bullets come down and trip the, I guess it's the switch. So it'll shut the switch off. And then with the pull of the handle, that bullet is inserted into the casing with the powder charge predetermined already from this last station. So once it gets to this and receives its bullet, it spins to the next station. And on this one, the bullet is firstly crimped and pushed down to the correct level. The last stage is the post crimping. It'll crimp the bullet once it's already down to the next level. And once you pull the handle, the bullet will come out and you'll have a complete bullet just like this, one of these guys. Okay, so now let's talk about how these cases are fed into the machine. Basically, once the machine is turned on, these cases start to come down one at a time, and they'll start filling all the way up until they get to this cutoff switch. Watch the loading process here. Okay, so the next process that we're going to show is actually the bullet feeding. Remember, the bullets are going to come down this spring chute all the way to here, and they'll start stacking up right here. Again, just like this, it'll have a cutoff switch. Once it gets here, it won't keep the bullets coming. Otherwise, it'll overflow at the top. So let's see how that works. Now, let's go ahead and turn that one on. Now, you'll watch these bullets come here. They'll eventually start coming down. Eventually, they'll start coming down the chute. There comes the first one. You can see them right here. Once they start to fill up, now it's going to be tipped up on some of these. And we might have filled it up too much. Okay, so now that we've dropped in cases, we've dropped in bullets, the primer feed has primers in there. Let's go ahead and cycle it so you guys could see the basic process and it going all the way around each station to create a bullet. So let's give it a shot. There's my first station, it drops the case in. Now I have a case on this side. Going to deep prime it. Next one is going to open up the primer pocket. Next one is a blank station. Next one, we'll put a primer charge in there. Here it goes. Watch the bullet drop in. Drops a bullet in. And then I kind of push down on it. And there it is. And then it comes around. And it gives me a nice bullet. There's your bullet right there, 40 caliber. And you can use one of these case gauges, and it tells you that it's the correct diameter and the correct length. So that is how you load a 40 S&W for competition and or defense. Okay, now let's show a little bit more of the process so you could actually see everything in order here. Here we go. Sometimes you got to pound on these older machines to get things to index, but it's just a matter of getting to know your machine. See, each time I pull the lever, new bullet comes out. Here we go. And we'll just do it until this one, so as not to bore you guys. There we go. Last bullet. So that is how they cycle. Okay, so now you guys have seen the 40 over there. Let's do some 9mm so you guys could get the feel of how it works again. Again, I'm going to start my cases up. They'll be coming around. There we go. This is loaded with 9mm cases, which have been polished and tumbled. Start feeding all the way up. Remember, once it gets to the top, it's going to cut itself off. There's a switch up here. Cases are still coming down. And once it gets to the top, it's going to cut itself off with the cutoff switch. Cutoff switch is engaged. Okay, so now you can see that the cases are loaded, the bullets are in place, and we have primer is in place as well. Now I've taken the privilege to go ahead and bring the bullets around to where you can see right here, this is the last case. So let's go ahead and continue the process so you can see how 9mm works. Basically, again, with every pull of the lever, you're going to load one bullet every time. Just like that. And that is a strategic powder charge in there, depending on what you want. If you want higher power, lower power, you take the powder charge and you put it on a scale and you weigh it according to your own specs. Sometimes you want to hit steel off a table a little bit faster, or you want a little bit lighter round, depending on what you're shooting on and what you're competing on. So that's the basic process. With every pull of the trigger comes a new bullet. And there we go. There we go. So these are the results, 9mm. Here we go. And they're all nice, primed and everything. And you can also put the case gauge on top of this to make sure that it works correctly. And it is to spec as far as diameter and length. It's perfect. And that's the way you double check yourself. So there you have it. Hope you folks enjoyed the little process of reloading for competition and or self-defense. Until next time, keep on shooting.